Lord, told me, no mercies for me, hold me closely on the road to victory as I close my eyes and see the light as I go to you. Free indeed is true, there will order to find the Red Sea as I walk in you. Through the shadow of my enemy, safe we are. Take breath of life we are. No death, we won't be harmed. God is here, praise the Lord. Wicked damned not the righteous be real for peace be still free indeed. Trust God free indeed. Trust only God to do this part. Trust free indeed. Trust God free indeed. Trust only God to do this part. Look at here praising God. Do the radio rap with God. No rodeo listen. I'm telling y'all, God answer my call. No telephone. I don't do that. Oh, I know that. I do that. Oh, I know that. I do that. Oh, I know that. I do that. Oh, I free indeed. Free indeed. I'll do that. Oh, I know that. I'll do that. Oh, I know that. I'll do that. Oh, I know that. I'll do that. Oh,
Alrighty, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. As always, welcome. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We give once again all praise and honor to the Most High Yahweh Elohim, who is Abba at Bar at Ravak HaKodash. We're thankful and grateful for everybody tuning in today. Thank you for those who just came off of the prayer line. We give all praise and honor to the Most High for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest. She's the healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree for those who need that extra oomph on there. And if you'd like to support her business, which is her business is making sure that we are taken care of as a community and as a people, feel free to go and support her. The tincture of the month is I am fasting. And it's a fasting aid and a healing aid, of course, and natural medicine. And there are many other tinctures, of course, that you can ask for as well. That's just the featured one for the month. Thank you to all the moderators. Once again, everybody who's on the prayer line. Big ups to Minister Anais for doing her thing and being in her gift. And we are in the midst of talking about gifts. Before we get into the gift we're focusing on today, let's just say hello to everybody real quick. Thanks, Joe, for the support. Anthony, Big Brother Thomas, Felisa, T, uh, just a young preacher. All right, how you doing? I'm doing well. Ms. Mac, Brother Clem, Sister Rhonda, Dawn, Keytroy, um, Tamika, Sister Marion. Hello to you and the family. Praying for you. Um, let's see. Sister Austral, Sister Tracy. Uh-oh, just made me scroll up. Oh, okay, thanks for being on, Audette. How you doing? Audette. Not sure how you pronounce it. Naya, how you doing? To everybody, Lottie, and everybody. James, if I don't say hello, you charge it to my head and not to my heart. We appreciate everybody. I think I see Bounty on here. Appreciate you. And I think I said to Brother Clem, but just in case I didn't, hello to Brother Clem as well. How's everybody doing today? We're continuing to talk about the gifts. Hello, I won't miss. How you doing? Hello, Tulips. How are you doing? Tanya, how are you doing? And excited about today, and thankful and grateful for another opportunity to be in front of you all again. And we ask for your continued prayers. Sister Sharice, thank you very much for the love. Appreciate you. Thank you for your likes, for your shares, for your super chats, for your gifts, for your time, your talent, your effort, your energy, your prayers, resources of whatever type, all those things we just mentioned, the resources. We thank you. Those of you who are growing food are going to help us to be able to make sure that we share food with one another this year. We're thankful to everybody who's on. If it's your first time, one time of many, whatever the case might be, we are very appreciative of you in our Passover season and getting ready to start every evening. So this evening be our last live for a little while on in these sessions, because we'll be on Zoom for like the next 8 days and 8 nights in a row. Flowing into April 15th, which is going to be our day of Passover. If you need a Passover package, let us know. We'll make sure that we get all your information and be ready to send it to you. Those who are going to be meeting with us, if you're in the Southeast region, if you're in Georgia, if you're in Alabama, Alabama close enough, right? But if you're in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Virginia, parts of Tennessee, if you want to travel from somewhere else, just let us know so we can send you the address. We will be in South Carolina April 15th and 16th. The 16th we'll be spending all day together. If you want to come for that day, if you want to join up a day earlier and spend some time with us for Passover, let us know. We're looking forward to seeing everybody from the oldest to the youngest, having something prepared for everybody so that all of us can get together and praise Yah. And of course, even some of the stuff that we do, we will still make sure that we're doing some things that we can share in the lives with you guys as well. So if we do something and we meet together with people at 8, we'll still be, you guys will see that or whatever. And maybe we'll have something that we do on April 16th. Maybe we'll have some teaching that we can record or something for you all. Hello, Sister Shima. How you doing? Appreciate it. I did see the email come through. I didn't get a chance to go through it yesterday, but I did get it, Sister Kimberly, and thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't respond to your text message. It popped up again this rising. And I've been having signal issues still. So prayerfully, maybe when we travel and then we travel back to this area, maybe our signal issues will get better. So thank you to everybody for doing what you do. So, Sister Deja, hello, how you doing? So today, our gift that we're focusing on, getting into the gifts. What's the gifts that we're focusing on for today? We're going to focus on the gift of leadership. When people talk about the gift of leadership, no problem. Thank you for checking in. Like I said, hold me accountable, right? I'm a human being just like you are, so hold me accountable. But yeah, so we're talking about the gift, and we're talking about the gift of leadership. The gift of leadership. How you doing, TJ? Look forward to seeing you Zoom 11 a.m. I believe, right? So pretty much soon as we end the live. Hello, Minister Tamer. How you doing? If I didn't say so already, and thank you for doing what you always do across the board. So we're talking about today the gift of leadership. And so leadership is something that, once again, we have to speak about culturally, as we do everything. Everything's going to always start with culture, right? And it's important that we speak on leadership culturally, because when we deal with leadership, we don't comprehend that leadership is not over people. How you doing, Sister Nikita? Leadership is not over people. And that's one of the things that messes us up. We miss that, and we miss out on how to be proper leaders because we're constantly and consistently trying to be over people. Right? We're constantly and consistently trying to be over people. I'm going to be over this person. I'm supposed to be a boss. I'm supposed to make sure that I do all these things or whatever, right? I'm this, I'm that, I'm in charge, I'm this, I'm that, whatever, right? We always think that leadership is supposed to be over what? Over people. But leadership is over the environment. People might come into our environment, right? But leadership is not over people, it is over environment. How you doing, Henry? I'm sorry, those who are on TikTok, I'm gonna disappear for a couple seconds, or well, give me like 10, 15 seconds. Hold on one second. Just got a message from somebody about something. Oh, okay. All right. All right, sorry about that. Matter of fact, let's see if we can get them on a better signal on TikTok as well. And of course, now we want to do that. Take forever. All righty, let's see if this works better. Excuse me. All right, sorry about that. I thought it'd only be 10, 15 seconds. Hopefully the signal will be a little better, right? Right. So leadership is not over people. And the reason why we have some problems in management, separating leadership from management, if you want to go there, trying to lead our environment or trying to lead people at home, at school, and this and that is because there's no environment set. How you doing, Miss Mac? Thanks for switching over. I see you. Right? How you doing, Cash? So there's no leadership in a lot of places because we're so busy leading people that we haven't led environment. Right? Like we're so busy leading people that we haven't set up an environment for people. Right? People can have the best of intentions. People can have the best of intentions, but you put them in the wrong environment. We talked about that with faith yesterday. Shalom, Sister Barbara. How you doing? Right? People can have the best of intentions, but right, the seed is intended to grow, right? But a cactus seed put in the midst of Alaska in winter and planted in the ground that you're going to have to dig into and chip away because it's ice, and try to put that in and put icy soil back over it. Doesn't matter how much the seed is intended to grow, the environment is necessary, right? And so we're trying our best to lead people instead of lead environments. This came up in prayer somewhat today, and I was led to, I kept hearing over and over again about works. And we talked about that yesterday, that yes, faith is necessary, required, and works by itself can't get anything done. However, faith without works is a bad environment. Yeah, a bad environment will suffer or suffocate the best of intentions, right? And so a lot of us are trying to lead, but are not talking about environment. If we're even speaking canonically, right, in our canon, right, the Tanakh, the Torah, and we speak on the canon, I don't think people think about enough how before Yahshua really could get much accomplished, once he became a rabbi at age Lamed, at age 30, before he could become a rabbi, he had to first talk about an environment. He kept speaking about the kingdom, right? Before I get into this, before I get into that, before I heal, before I do this, he would ask people kingdom questions. Somebody can't see. They come up to him. They yell to him. He says, "Bring him before me." They come up to him, and then he asks a question: "Will thou be made whole?" Well, what you mean? Will thou be made whole? But no. Like before we can make you whole, before we can talk about the person, before we can fix the situation, first things first. Are you willing to come into this environment? Right? Whole, one, aleph, holy, right? To be one. Be ye one, be ye whole, be ye holy, be ye hakodash, as I am hakodash, at anai, at anai, hakodash, right? Be ye holy as I am holy. How you doing, Sister Ellen? How you doing, Brother Cole? Be ye holy as I am holy. Be ye one. Will you come into the environment first? Before you start talking about heal me, where are you willing to come into the environment? Matthew chapter 5 through 7, right? Our sweet spot, that's the Sermon on the Mount. Well, before that, Matthew chapter 4, verse 23, Yahshua went to all of Galilee. He went to all the synagogues. He was preaching and teaching about what? The kingdom. And then he dealt with sickness. And then he dealt with disease. And then he took out things that were inside people, demons and all that stuff, and put them out, right? First things first, though, environment, the kingdom. He comes and they give him a scroll in the synagogue one day, and before he starts talking about who he is, before he says all these things are fulfilled in your sight, he said he reads about what's supposed to happen in the kingdom, that the blind will receive sight again, right? That those cannot hear, those that are dumb will be able to speak, those that need kingdom will have kingdom, right? And now that I've established the kingdom is here, now it's time. John the Baptist is in the wilderness. And he's preaching and he's saying, repent, get baptized, repent, come into contract with the Most High, repent, make a public acknowledgement of who the Most High is, right? For the kingdom of heaven is coming. The kingdom of heaven is coming. That was John's whole thing. Malachi chapter 3 told you he was going to make the way straight, and he was making the way straight by telling everybody, get ready. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Yahshua comes, and John looks up and he says, the one I'm talking about, he's here. The kingdom of heaven went from coming to now it is at hand. Right? The environment has to proceed, and leadership is something that we oftentimes try to do as far as, hey, just follow me, but follow you into what? Amen, Brother Cole. Yeah, and the kingdom is within you, right? So even when you're dealing on leading self-leadership, self-accountability, what's in you already? What is the environment inside of you? The environment that is inside of me, right, is going to come out. You speak kingdom when you have kingdom. Leadership, the environment. And we haven't learned how to deal with environment first. We're looking for answer first, but answer comes out of environment. Uh-oh. Well, what if somebody's a sinner? You telling me that the Most High is not going to be able to talk to him? Where is the Most High? Is the Most High in an environment? Here you are, right? I'm going to go to this place or whatever. Well, you better make sure that the Most High is with you, because if the kingdom's not being brought with you, if he didn't tell you to go there and preach that word, or to teach that word, or to speak to those people, or to lay hands on people, right? Lay hands on no man suddenly, right? Or without thought process behind it. You better make sure that there's kingdom there. There's a culture there. There's an environment there. If it's not, especially if it's not even in you, then look, you can lay hands on as many as you want, but doesn't mean the sick are going to recover. The sick don't recover just because. The sick recover because the environment is there. There were sick people that go to hospitals all day and they don't recover. And we can blame it on whatever. We can blame it on the fact that people didn't wear masks. We can blame it on the fact that people don't just trust in Western medicine. We can blame it on the fact that doctors have bad bedside manner. You can blame it on whatever you want. But just because you go to a hospital doesn't mean the environment is correct. My wife can't stay in hospitals, not because of all the stuff that they do just by itself. The fact that when you go to a hospital, hospitals are some of the most unclean places. Not just talking about all the sickness and disease and everything that's spread out. The fact that when you go in a hospital, the floor is dirty. You hearing, right? Whatever, I can't mimic it, but y'all know that, like sticky stuff coming up under your feet, and you walk in there, you're trying to visit somebody. It's an unclean place, but we're looking for healing. The environment is off. Yeah, he's even said he'll go before us in some cases, right? As long as he's told us he'll go before us. But if he goes before us, what he's saying is, I'll go set the environment. But one of the things in the hospitals are disgusting. What in the world makes you think you're going to get healed in the hospital if the hospital is disgusting? Right? But we're going into situations in life and don't have an environment. I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting this together. It seems like I can't get my habits to move. It seems like I can't flow. It seems like I can't function. Your environment might be disgusting. You're trying to lead people. You're trying to lead yourself, but what's going on in the environment? Hello, PBG. How you doing? Right? What is going on in the environment? It is the environment that you should lead. I don't lead over people. Some of y'all were on prayer today, and if you've been on prayer enough, you've heard me do this a few times now, at least two, 3 times. I can think of on top of my head 2 times for sure. I feel like it's a third time. Minister and she's in charge of the prayer line, right? So if I come on to the prayer line and I want to do something, I don't just go, I'm the pastor, so I'm gonna just tell Minister and be quiet, stop praying real quick, or hey, this is what I want you to do, blah blah. I have not one time told her you will do these things, right? And when I want to say something, I ask permission, because that's the environment that she's over, and that's the environment we want to set. And yes, even though I might be the assembler, the head of the pastor, it doesn't mean that I have right to go ahead and just tell her whatever I feel like telling her. There's an environment that I've set, and that means I got to be obedient to the same environment. I lead over the environment well, which means I follow the rules of the environment. So the environment allows her to be in her gift and to lead and to pray and to teach and to speak over, because it's not my environment. If we got classes and I'm not the teacher, I'm not going to be sitting up there, right? I feel, I try my best to sit back and to listen and to be obedient. If somebody else is teaching, you might see me trying to put stuff. If I don't see anybody putting stuff in the notes, I start being the person to put something in the notes, or in the chat rather, so that you guys would have notes and know what chapters to go to. And I start saying amen, and I start becoming the cheerleader, right? Because that's the environment. I don't have to lead people when I lead the environment. And we appreciate you, right? Reggie Watts, I'm not sure who that is. I guess if you're trying to make fun of me, you got to come with somebody at least know. Feels like you were probably going for Reggie Bush. Not Reggie Bush, but what's his name? Reggie. Anyways, I don't know who it is though, but nice try. So, but you got to be in an environment. The environment is set. And a lot of us are having tough times with leadership. Watch this. Why do you think in the military, do you think that people that join the military, all of them are really great people? Question. Do you think that everybody who's in the military is automatically a great person? You think everybody joined the military just because they had a righteous heart, righteous intent? They just wanted to make sure everybody felt great? No, that's not why they joined. But almost everybody, I won't say everybody, but almost everybody in the military is willing to die for somebody else in the military, even if they don't like them. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? You think that if not everybody really cares about everybody, loves everybody, right? It is the environment. Thank you, Naya. Right? It is the environment. The environment. You come in and you go through training, and the boot camp is designed to literally strip you of self, right? So that you feel like you almost have everything that you identified with before is something that now doesn't matter that much. And that we're going to train you, right? When you go through boot camp, they're going to train you to go through things to feel like you can't make it. The times that they push you where they know you're not going to be able to make it as a group, they do it so that you get through that together. If you fail, you fail as a group, right? You learn about who the president is, the vice president is, who the secretary of defense is, this, that, whatever. You learn all the different places and who's in order. You learn who's in charge of the base. You learn to make sure that you listen to your RDC or your drill sergeant or your drill instructor, right? You learn all these different things. Excuse me. You learn all these different things and go all these different ways with all these different things, because they're training you to come away from self. They're training you to go into environment. Amen. Train to put your mission first, right? Even if you don't like what's going on, even if you don't like the people, even if you don't like the duty station, even if you don't like the fact you're going to be on a ship for several months, even if you don't like the fact you're going to be in the desert for a year, even if you don't like the fact, like, look, you might be going somewhere nice. They might send you to Naples, Italy. They might send you to Germany. They might send you to Hawaii, right? They might send you to Japan. right? But you might not like the culture. It doesn't matter. You got a mission. If you go out and they put a camera in front of your face and they ask you a question, they tell you exactly what you're supposed to say because you're not representing your thought process. You're representing what somebody above you says the overall mission is, and your life is dedicated to making sure that that overall mission is there. You will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the corporation, right? But the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, not even just foreign, but domestic. If they were to tell you you got to attack somebody in in um in I don't know, in Kalamazoo right now, then you're gonna have to attack somebody in Kalamazoo. I tried to pick a place that hopefully nobody is at. I don't know. Right. But it doesn't matter. They're gonna tell you there, right? Because that's the culture. So somebody will die because that's the culture. Now, not everybody will do to the level of what others will do, right? But somebody doesn't mind. Somebody, when they're in the act of doing something that gets them a purple heart, which basically usually is going to end up what? That the person's not going to survive, right? Not always, but usually going to mean the person's not going to survive. So if somebody's in the midst of doing something like that to try and make sure that people are taken care of, they're not concerned about their life in a second, right? They're not even thinking about, man, if I do this, I'm gonna get an award. I'm gonna get a little ribbon. I'm gonna get a little medal, depending on which version of uniform you're wearing. I'm gonna get this ribbon, or I'm gonna get this medal that shows everybody that I'm great and I'm this and I'm that. Like, ain't nobody worried about that in that moment, right? There's a culture, there's an environment that says that this is what I do, and this moment is more important to go and make sure that my life is on the line. In this environment, I've been through the training, I've been through the stuff. In this environment, is more important that I have to take my brother and my sister in gunfire and all this stuff and things going over our head. We got to figure out a way. If we got to drag them out, if we got to put them over our shoulder, if they're passed away, if they're alive, whatever the case might be, it's time for us to go ahead and make sure that somebody makes it home. Everybody that came out with us, they will come back with us. Everybody that came to this country, they will come back to our country. Everybody that fought, right, and bled, they will make sure that they make it home. There's an environment that's there. The leadership is over the environment. If the environment is straight, I don't have to worry about it. Will somebody salute somebody? Even if you are one of the most jacked up soldiers, jacked up Marines, jacked up airmen, jacked up sailors, right? Doesn't matter if my shipmate, if my battle buddy, whatever you want to call them, doesn't matter if my fellow devil dog, whatever you call yourself, doesn't matter where your mind is at. Doesn't matter if you trash as a soldier. I know that when that officer comes by, you're gonna do what? Right? And you're gonna pop it, it's gonna be as clean as possible. You know why you're gonna do that? You know, you're gonna do that because of the environment, right? But we have an issue because now we're coming into a kingdom and we're a holy nation and we're a peculiar people that don't fit in, and we're a royal priesthood, right? And we're a chosen generation. And when you read the rest of that scripture, it says, so we can show forth the praises or the proclamation, praise to proclaim, to lift up, to announce to everybody, to make sure that we show everybody through our actions and our culture and our environment what we do. And yet we have this issue because we're trying to still come through somebody else's prism. So we have a whole set of bad leaders because leaders don't lead people, leaders lead environments. I might not ever meet a 4-star general, but if that 4-star general makes sure that he walks in an environment, he will lead me without me ever meeting him. Right? When I was in the military, I did have the opportunity to be in front of the second George Bush, and to be in front of the first George Bush, and to be in front of Nancy Reagan, and to I've had an opportunity to be in front of some giants within the military and some people who worked in certain offices, and to be on some of the some of the greatest technology. At least at the time, it's gotten better since I've been in, but at the time, some of the greatest technology. I've had a chance to fire some of the most amazing weapons and all those things like that or whatever. And I'm telling you, like, the environment, these people that I never met, they governed my life because there was an environment. I'm not saying we can argue whether it was a bad environment, great example, et cetera, or what we need to do as Israel. I'm just telling you, as far as in that mode, you are governed not by the person being over you. I never met until even though I got to sit down with the first George Bush and have like some actual conversation. It was actually pretty meaningful for me, right? It was actually very meaningful. How you doing, Rhonda? It was, if I didn't say so already, sorry about that. Had some very long conversation with him, right? And it was actually at that time, it was something that was pretty cool. Like, say what you will about him, whatever. Like he took time out. There were no cameras. There was none of this or whatever. He saw me. He came. He sat down next to me. Saw me kind of sitting there amongst some other people, kind of by myself. And he sat down and had some great conversation with me. And that was something that meant a lot to me, right? Never talked to him again. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying his wife is perfect. I know we can talk about all the stuff of where they got their money and where their family's from and how they're connected to this, that, whatever. I'm just telling you, like, he didn't have to do anything after that with me ever again because he just led the environment. We didn't talk about, I didn't know what to do. I was sitting down. I didn't have my cover on. That means my hat on. I didn't have my cover on. I didn't know what to do. Right. And I was very new at this point to the military. I'm fresh, basically not too far removed from not just boot camp, but also my A school training, which basically you go to boot camp, then you go to your school, and then you go to your duty station. So I really don't know what to do in this situation. He's walking up on me. I'm trying to figure, okay, oh man, I don't have my cover. Do I salute him? Do I stand up? Blah, blah. Sit down. He gave me, sit down. Secret Servicemen looking at me like, because they're supposed to, that's their job to protect him. They're looking at me like, what should we do with this guy or whatever? So they're looking like they're going to, roll up on me or whatever, maybe tell me to move. And he sits down and talks to me. Right. And I'm not trying to say he's a great this, blah, blah. I don't know him personally. Right. But we had a conversation. I'm just telling you that conversation, it pushed me in a certain direction. It helped me to realize, oh, you know what? If I talk to somebody that's a fame or is in a certain position or whatever, they're human beings just like me. And he might have been attracted. Right. And we didn't talk about, we didn't talk about military stuff. He was just like, hey, how you doing? This and that. Oh, okay. You married? Oh, you're not married yet. You're thinking about getting married. Okay, cool. Well, I got a wife, and I'm telling you, these are the issues you're gonna go through with being a wife. When you become a father, there's some things that happen, this and that, or whatever. And it was funny because at the time his son is the president of the United States. So he's like, as a father, you're gonna deal with this, but they turn out all right. We just had a regular conversation, and he was set. But what he did was he was talking about environment, right? What he was saying was he's talking about environment. He wasn't talking about all the other stuff. See, and you're trying to lead people without setting an environment. All it takes is a conversation for you to set an environment, right? All it takes is for you, you know, um, if you got a spot and you're like, man, nobody else is cleaning up this and that, well, I have to clean. Well, fine. You know what? Make sure that you set an environment. A lot of people who clean, they clean because they had to set an environment, right? There's some your baby likes an environment of not having any um any stuff on them. We'll just say it like that, no matter if it's mud or be in the restroom or whatever, bathroom, because you change them, right? Like you set an environment, and then you will grow into what the environment is, right? Look at Barashat, and you can go to Barashat bit or Genesis chapter 2. And when you go there, what you will discover is that um, Adam was created, right? Adam was created in the before or who we call Eve. Um, Before she was created, Adam was already over an environment, right? Before Eve is created, Adam already is in an environment, is he not? Right? Adam, when Eve shows up, Adam simply is, it doesn't like Adam. Watch this. When Eve shows up, can you show me a verse where Adam starts telling Eve how she has to bow down to him? Can anybody show me that verse? We gonna mess with some people today, some demons today. So, oh, you don't know about marriage, brother. You don't know how your wife, blah blah. You gonna have look. Can you show me a verse that shows me where Adam begins to tell Eve, "You're gonna listen to me. You're gonna do this. You're gonna respect. This is what y'all told me." Blah blah. He doesn't do that at all, does he? That's not how we operate. That's not how husbands in our culture operate. That's not how leaders operate. Well, perspective, if that's your belief system, if you know, are you talking about the name Eve? Because her name's not even Eve, but Chavavach or Chavach, or who we call Eve, But if you're coming from a different canonical viewpoint, that's fine. We're just being led as we believe here, you know. Um, but the when you're dealing with how that happens, Adam not once is sitting there telling his wife, "You're going to listen. You're going to do this. You're going to be about this. You're going to be about that. All this stuff or whatever." It says that she was brought before him. He had a chance to be able to choose if he wanted to be with her. He chose to be so. He said, "For this cause," he started speaking even prophetically over his boys, over his children that would come out. "For this cause, will a man leave his husband or leave his father and mother behind and cleave to his wife?" Right? He's excited that he can become one with something, the same way he saw the other animals in the environment that he was over. For the first time, he can be able to do the same thing in the environment. And not one time did you see him say, you better bow down. You better do this. That's not how that works. That's not how it works in our culture. Now we give instruction, but I'm not over you. If a wife decides, remember, it's not submansion. She's not submitting to a man, but it's submission. She's submitting to a mission. So we're not asking you to subman. We're asking you for submission. And if you decide, ladies, see, you are very powerful in the equation, sometimes more so, because if you're more concerned, if you see the mission and you decide I'll do what it takes to help you to get the mission done, then everybody who's in the house, they follow. Well, when people talk about the Lilith story comes from somebody else's culture, so I don't really get into it. The Bible actually, the only time the Bible mentions Lilith is when it tells you to stay away from that spirit, to stay away from that goddess, so to speak, or whatever they would call it, right? So, but to each their own. That's not, if that's your whatever that belief system is, right? If that's what you choose to follow. But on here, we're talking about something as far as today, the submission, or I'm sorry, we're talking about leadership, right? So even though Eve and Adam, by the way, both still mess up later on, right? All you have to do, you'll find out real quick. Okay, thank you, Shogun. So when you go to Eve, and so when so when you get back to this, you'll discover even though Eve and Adam, or Chavach and Adam, or Chavach Adam, they both will mess up later on, because we always talk about Eve as if she's the one, but Adam could have said no, right? And Adam knew the rule. But you see that Eve, she had to have listened to the instruction, because it never says the Most High gave her instruction, but she spoke a word. She spoke a word. And people say she messed up. No, she spoke a word. She spoke a word to the serpent at first, right? But she allowed something that was lustful to take place, right? But you have to think about an environment. An environment. Like I'll tell anybody. Like I've never told my wife she better do. She has to do. The only thing that I've had a conversation anywhere close to that. Well, actually, I don't say close, but I did say it in these terms. Like I basically said, please don't make me choose between you and the Most High, because the Most High gonna win every time. Period. Right? It's an environment. I can't have an environment without the Most High. When I get in trouble is when the Most High is not in the environment. You lead over environment. You don't lead over people. And you've been trying your best to lead over people. I'm not saying that people will not follow the guidelines that you put out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's not my goal. Right? Watch this. Like, to brothers on here, I am not ever in a position to where I get to supersede what you get to say in your own house. I comprehend that better than most. Right? I've done the church thing, even though I wasn't raised in it. I've done the church thing. I had close to a couple decades in the church thing, and I realized and recognized that in the church thing, a lot of men don't come to church because whoever the pastor is gets more respect than they do. So why would they try to come back to the church thing if they feel like they're going to be disrespected? Especially if a man's number one need, it's respect, is to be heard. Why would he come to the church thing if the church thing keeps telling him it's okay for you to disrespect him as a man? Because you'll talk about Pastor so-and-so was preaching today. Pastor so-and-so was preaching about this. Ooh, child. Ooh, if you only knew. Why can't you be so like my pastor? She's so great. He's so great. And he like, why would I come somewhere where you would disrespect me? You said, would I say Eve changed the environment? I would say that Adam had every chance to be able to say no in the same environment. And I say both of them together, because when Eve ate of the fruit, nothing happened. Then it says after that, Adam, right? It said Eve first, you know, did what was happening with the environment or whatever, and nothing happened. Then it says after that, Adam ate of the fruit. Next thing you know, they knew each other were naked. Adam was still in charge of the environment. He was never in charge of Eve. Eve had every right to submit to the submission, right? She didn't have to submit to the man. And so therefore the same thing, like I'm not concerned about my wife has to do every single thing that I say every single time the exact way, and she better be some kind of slave or something like that. Eve didn't change the environment. Adam and Eve both, they were one. So I guess you could say both of them, once both of them participated, then the environment fell. And even after that, Adam could have asked for forgiveness. He could have said, I did wrong. He could have said, I repent. But what was his first thing to do? Start arguing about whose fault it was for the change of the environment, or the fact that it was the Most High's fault. If it wasn't for you, you gave me the woman. Self-accountability over the environment is more important than trying to see who's more accountable. It's always interesting, both sides of the equation, the male and the female perspective. Usually it's your fault the environment's this way, it's your fault the environment's this way. Well, it's your fault. If it wasn't for men, then we would be here. Well, if it wasn't for women, we'd be here, right? It's always blame. But then the interesting thing is when it comes time to say, okay, well, who wants to be accountable for the environment, it's always the other person's fault. But when everything's going well, everybody wants to say it's our fault. Oh, okay. So, it's always, so it's always somebody else's, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault when we don't do right. But then all of a sudden, when it's already also somebody's fault. Ugh. It is always somebody else's fault when things go bad, but whenever things are going well, we take credit, right? But that's because you're trying to compare to people. What about the environment? That's what Adam did. It was a woman you gave me. Eve did the same thing, though. She ain't, Eve didn't say anything about her husband, but Eve said something about the serpent, right? Well, it was the serpent I talked to, blah, blah. Man, the serpent is not in charge of the environment. Matter of fact, you see a serpent that's talking, that's a little strange, ain't it? Why are you talking to him? What's going on in the environment, right? But once again, we think that leadership is over people, and we place more stock in people than the environment. And that's going to sound weird, but I need you to see this, especially in leadership, right? If you have the gift of leadership, if you've been put in a position of leadership, and all of us are leaders to some extent anyways, right? But if you're in a position of leadership, people are not coming to you because they feel like they are connected to you, and it's going to hurt people's feelings. People are coming to you. They will feel connection over time. But the initial reason why somebody's coming around is not because they feel a heavy connection point to you. The reason why some people are coming around is because they like what's in your environment. They like your fruit. And that's okay. Like, if you don't know me, but you're attracted to something, you're not attracted to me. You're attracted to something that's in me. You're trying to figure out what's in me, and that's okay. Eventually, we'll become tight, right? But at first, you got to comprehend that it's something on the inside. That's why you can have people that are wild. Like, you have somebody and they'll be in a relationship and they're like, yeah, I know this person isn't doing this. I know this person's being bad. Some people even, I know this person is hitting me and doing all this stuff, but there's something in them, right? They skip over. They won't talk about the whole environment, but they're still trying to say, well, in them, there's something in the environment, this one piece of fruit out of all the stuff they're showing me. Yeah, this fruit is good. Yeah, but they're giving you a whole bunch of fruit that's poisonous. You might want to reconsider being in that environment, but you like the taste of that one fruit. How you doing, Pearl? You said many men feel they aren't respected in society, so they come home and demand respect excessively. Yeah. And by the way, that's environment. I don't have environment. I go out into an environment. I go out into somebody else's land. That's why we're working on land and different things like that, right? I go out into somebody else's land. I go into somebody else's corporation. I go out into somebody else's job, and they disrespect me all the time. So I come home, and I bet first things first, I best get respect. And by the way, ladies, there's not too much wrong with that. And by the way, fellas, there's not too much wrong with that because your woman goes to work. The black woman is the most disrespected creature. I say this all the time. People respect dogs more than they respect women. I'm not saying that the black woman is not the most disrespected person. Yes, she is, but she's also the most disrespected creature. That is why in our own community, and sometimes by men and women, you will call a woman the B word before you call her a woman. Right? That's how disrespected she has become to where we actually say, yeah, that's my B right there, trying to act like the same thing with the N word. I'm taking the power back. You ain't taking the power back. It's because the environment is set up to where you're not supposed to be respected. What you said was Eve supposed to command her dominion over the environment? What do you even mean? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Was she supposed to command her dominion? Dominion is just like radach or kingdom. So she was in the kingdom. Not trying to get on you. I just don't comprehend the culture. I mean the question. So Eve was already in the kingdom, and she was a queen, and so she had kingdom or queendom, if you want, right? But I don't comprehend exactly. No one wants to be held accountable. Sorry, just made me skip up. Accountable to their ego and the choices they make. Mm-hmm. Hello, Dennis. How you doing? Yeah. So a lot of people. Hello, Elisa. Hello, Kimberly. How you doing? Hello, Oba. How you doing? If I said that correctly, OBAAPA. So, but we're having an issue with because people want to lead people and not lead environments. People do well. How you doing, Miss Modesty? People do well, right, when they lead the environment, right? People are going to be like, there's no such thing as a person is raised in a vacuum. Minister Tamer said, whatever the husband brings into the environment will be multiplied. What are you bringing home? That's true too, right? Same thing as whatever was being brought by anybody, really, but especially the husband, because we are supposed to set the environment. Even in that, it's reversed, right? In leadership, it's reversed. Society says, well, the woman wears the pants, this, that, or whatever, but the man sets the environment. The man gives this is Proverbs chapter 1. Man sets the environment. I'm sorry, he gives the instruction, right? Husband gives the instruction. Wife, she lays down the law. Both are powerful. Instruction is powerful because it says this is where we're headed, right? Law is powerful because law protects rights. You put the two together, now we know where we're headed rightfully because we're protected. That's two becoming one. That's why in our culture, the plurality doesn't even start till you get to the number 3. Two are considered to be a single person, right? Where 2 or 3 are gathered is really saying where one person who's 2 have become one, or even more than that, are gathered. The Most High is in our presence. But we don't comprehend. We're always looking at leadership over people. Check like Peep Game. And how you doing, Prince? Peep Game. People don't get mad at the job. You know how people be like, man, I can't believe that they're doing this to us and they're doing that to us. Man, I can't believe that they're causing us to what is it that they're causing us to they're gonna pay the CEO millions of dollars. They're gonna lay off a bunch of people. You're not mad that the CEO is getting paid millions of dollars. If we would do a psychological evaluation, if you will, a study of the soul, okay, right? You're not really mad about the fact that the CEO is getting paid millions of dollars. That's not your issue. That's not your problem. That's not your beef. What your beef is, really, all right? What your beef is that you know that they will sacrifice you. It's not that the millions of dollars is a problem. Your problem is that they'll sacrifice you, right? The environment is sick. They'll sacrifice you They just got rid of all the people that are around you. You got to keep your job, but now your head is on a swivel because they'll always sacrifice you, even though you're the reason why they can make those millions of dollars. They won't treat you as a human being. They'll treat you like cattle. You said you'll be mad because it's not you. Some people might be mad because it's not them, right? But overall, most people will say, okay, I get it. There's some people that are going to have riches. Some people are going to have riches in other ways. And and I don't necessarily have to have millions or billions or whatever, right? But most people are going to be upset because you'll treat us like cattle. You set an environment. You set an environment where you'll treat us like cattle, right? You'll treat us like chattel. I'll work for you. I'll do this and that or whatever. But now that I feel like you'll treat me like chattel, ooh, I got a problem. And by the way, it's not a it's not a bad thing to say, right? We would say that that's wrong. Why would you treat me like chattel? Why would you just get rid of me? Why would you have me work 25 years or whatever, and I'm coming up on 30 and or 26? 26 years is when you guys start paying us like this, and then you let me go and bring somebody else in who can't even do what I can do, but because you don't want to give me that extra push or that extra bump, right? It's an environment that goes on. We were learning about this in cryptocurrency last week. Do you know that as much as they tell you not to get cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency is bad, this and that or whatever, you better get into it. You know why? Because the next generation does not want to work at all. They're not going to jobs at all. So you know what jobs started doing? Okay, we'll give you cryptocurrency. Now the generation's coming in. You know why that generation's coming in? Because cryptocurrency, it gives you decentralization. It means that you have the right to be able to be your own banker and to control your own funds. And if you know how to deal with VPN and stuff, you ain't worried about taxes and all that stuff. Matter of fact, if you're sovereign, you ain't worried about it anyways, right? Thank you, Finding Grace. Rhonda says so true. And some feel like they have no choice because they are, too far in debt. Yeah. Right. You left the job for that embargo. Yeah. And we don't recognize it. We don't know. We don't comprehend it. We don't understand. So people, you got to understand it's the environment. Why is it that you see? Watch this. You don't have a problem with Congress. You could care less. You don't know anybody in Congress. You could care less what happens in Congress. The only reason why you pay attention or get mad or say you need to vote somebody else, this and that, is because your environment was messed up. If your environment was going well, and you still had the same wicked people in position, you wouldn't care about their wickedness, would you? Problem is, though, it's impossible for wicked people to put on a positive environment because wicked people, they have to lead. They know they lead by environment, which means that if they want wicked results, they have to give you a wicked environment. But let's just say that wasn't the case. You wouldn't have a problem with somebody who's wicked in the environment. The only reason you do is because, or I'm sorry, in Congress, the only reason you have a problem with them is because Congress has caused you to be in a bad environment. Now, some of us who've come outside of this environment and are not concerned about it and are not worried about somebody wrote something on a piece of paper, we got to pay attention from time to time. But when you are separated from that, I don't really pay attention to it outside of, oh, okay, this will affect my people, so we better make sure that we look at this. How you doing, Abundance? Right? Like, so a lot of us, we're saying all these things, but the only reason why you have a problem with Congress is because of the environment. The only reason you have a problem with the president is because of the environment. The only reason why you talking about Black Lives Matter is because it affects your environment. The only reason you talking about All Lives Matter is because it affects your environment. The only reason you care about alt-right is because it affects your environment. Let's keep it 100, right? So the environment shows you the leadership is off, and that's why you have a problem with leadership. Because that leader is never going to knock on your door and ask you if you're okay. That's not what you're looking for. And if you're looking for that, it actually is something you should never look for, because there's no way that somebody can meet every single person that voted for them or something like that, right? But that's what you're looking for. You're looking, I'm sorry. So that's not what you're looking for. You're not looking for that. You're looking for the environment to be correct. That a lot of people don't get involved until it affects their environment personally. Well, that too, right? But the only reason, or even the environment of others, but the only reason why we're moving, it's not because you have been affected as much as your environment. Because you're like, I'm all right. But when my environment is messed up, I can't be all right. Or I'm all right, but if my environment stays like this, my children can't be all right. Or I'm all right, but my environment is messing with my wife. Or I'm all right, but my husband seems to be struggling when he goes out and comes back. Or I'm all right, but I got a black child, and so if my black child goes out there, now all of a sudden I'm worried about, are they going to make it home? Like, you're talking about environment. And those of us that have this gift of leadership, you better ensure that you're worried about the environment. And watch this, not worried about everybody else's environment first. You better create an environment that you can function in first, because you cannot help those. You watch this, you cannot help anyone. You cannot help those that you see that need help in the environment if you don't even have an environment you can stand tall in. How do you fight for somebody, right, when your environment chops you off at the kneecaps? Right? If you can't stand up in your own environment, how do you call somebody else to stand up? And some of us are from our chopped off position, still causing others to stand, and then are sitting there trying to figure out, why am I frustrated? Why am I confused? Why am I dealing with this stuff? Because you don't have an environment. You're so great at helping everybody else. Don't soul food's not a black food. It's for everybody. But you go into a Chinese restaurant, you don't say that. Then you try to figure out, well, why isn't our culture there? Why are people fighting against the fact? Right? You're so busy fighting everybody else's cause. You don't have something that you can stand on. What do you stand on? What is your standard that you look up to? What is the foundation that you stand on? You said we have protected their children, and yet ours perish. Yeah, like when do you stand on something? What do you stand on? You see, the environment is key. Why do you love to hear 10 toes down, amen, right? Why do you love to hear Malcolm X speak? What does he speak about? He speaks about an environment. He deals with the environment, and other people wouldn't deal with it. Let's look up the word environment, right? This is something that's nice to do every once in a while, right? Let's look up definitions. So let's just look up definition of environment real quick. What is an environment? Okay, definition of an environment is Oxford English Dictionary and synonyms. All right. What is an environment? Environment, the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. That's an environment. The conditions, what the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or even plants live in. Okay. So what surrounds you, or the conditions, right? What are your conditions? That's your environment. What surrounds you? That's your environment. You're supposed to lead that. That's why when people say love is unconditional, it doesn't make sense. Somebody said habitat, amen, right? So somebody will say, love is my love for you is unconditional. Yahweh's love for you is unconditional. Really? You show me where there's no conditions when it comes to love. If his love is unconditional, there's no such thing as hell, right? See, but the culture, you're looking at the wrong thing. You don't even comprehend the environment you're in, where that would even fly. What kind of environment makes you think double-minded? Why are you in a double-minded environment? Right? Why are you in a environment with cognitive dissonance? You believe that hell and heaven are real places. You believe that hell and heaven are real consequences, yet you say that love is unconditional. But there's conditions to be able to get into one or the other. I don't need to be about the law. We've been freed from the law. The law is of none effect. This and that, whatever. Okay. But faith without works is dead. But you won't address that. You won't talk about that. You won't talk about the context of it. You won't be holistic with it. You won't even talk about the fact that if there's no law, then how do you figure out if somebody gets the consequence of heaven or the consequence of hell? And what protects your rights to make sure that you get into heaven? And what is it that even got you to a place to where you get to Yashua, who you're using as the excuse to say that you don't have to be about the law? What kind of environment puts you in that position? What has conditioned you? What has conditioned you? You know, when you put conditioner on the scalp and stuff, you're trying to make sure that you get in some certain places so you don't have to worry about flakes, and you can have healthy stuff, and maybe it does some stuff to your hair, and maybe it helps you with your hair follicles and different things like that or whatever, right? Like, so you can tell, you can feel the difference. If nobody else can, you can feel the difference between a conditioned scalp and a non-conditioned scalp, right? Well, why are you in a condition right now to where you don't know what's going on? Why is it that some stranger that you never met before, is telling you more than somebody who you've been sitting down in front of for 25 years? Not because I'm better, it's because there's an environment attached. I had to step out that environment that said that I couldn't even say the name Yahweh, or at the time Yahweh and Yeshua. I couldn't even say that without somebody thinking that I had said something bad. I was just talking to somebody earlier this week, and they were telling me their experience, how they were asked to get up and give a word. They gave a word, and they just simply mentioned Yahweh, or maybe they mentioned Yahweh or Yahweh, not sure which one. And as soon as they finished, the pastor got right up behind them and said, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Well, we know, that's really just means God, and it just means Jehovah, and you don't have to worry about it, blah blah this and that." They tried to fix. They call themselves fixing it, but why is that? Because that pastor is afraid. They know what's going on, but they're in an environment to where if they were to speak truth, so they have to live in cognitive dissonance, right? There are pastors that know that they shouldn't have Christmas trees up in there, right? But they know that if they say something about it, they're going to have to deal with people's emotions, and so they'll put the emotional value before the cultural value, which means now the environment is off. It's bad. So now you even got a pastor who's feeling more stress, right? Because she or he are in a position where they know they're supposed to do better, right? But at the same time, they're going to lose people, and hey, they got to pay bills. They got to make sure tithes are still coming in. They got to make sure that the trustees and the deacons aren't going to try to fire them. Oh yeah, because they can be fired, right? So you stay quiet, you stay relevant, because if you were to become irrelevant to the world, who knows, right? Who knows what would happen if you became irrelevant to them, right? Who knows what would happen if you became irrelevant to them? My relevance doesn't come from them now, and that's why when we're building now, we're strange to people because we're relevant, even though we don't have to be in their system anymore. All right, let's keep on going, right? Yeah, in the past, he sets the tone, right? The environment. If you have a pastor, watch this. If you had a pastor that was willing to preach truth, and they told him for 6 months, you got to preach something different, and he kept preaching truth, and then people were growing, and they said, you know what, you got to go. And so he had one last Sunday, and he said, you know what, it's been an honor, it's been a privilege, but I'm gonna keep preaching truth no matter what goes on. I pray that you guys have a great time in your church and you continue to build. And that pastor left. Do you not think people are going to roll with that pastor? But we don't think about that because we're so afraid. We're so afraid. You said they can have a whole affair and stay relevant, but talk truth and it's a wrap. That's very real. Yeah, just as a man does for the home. Yep, we talked about that earlier, right? So here we go. So the setting. So here's something else for environment: the setting or conditions in which particular activity is carried on. The setting or conditions in which a particular activity is carried on. So whatever activity you're going to carry on, activities that, actions, love, whatever love you're going to give, they have to be what? Done in an environment. So people will say stuff like, "Oh, this is a great learning environment." What they're saying is, I'm learning a lot, but this environment, it causes me to learn more than what I normally would because you set an environment that's different. And I'm not even talking about us. That's the example they give, even though I believe we do so as well. That's the example they actually give in the definition. All right. Let's keep on going though. Um, let's keep on going. It's the overall structure within which a user, computer, or program operates. So when you're on a computer, your computer operates in an environment. This computer operates within an environment. This computer is the best computer that's ever existed. It computes things on a level that no other computer can compute. One drop of your DNA, they've done tests. One drop of your DNA holds more memory than a football field. A warehouse as big as a football field filled with supercomputers has less memory in it than one drop of DNA put on your fingertip. That's the power that you possess. That's the DNA memory you have, right? That environment, that environment. So watch this. If all that is housed inside you as an environment, right? Is your environment healthy enough for you to call up DNA memory when necessary? Yeah, they couldn't go into the promise, right? Because even talking about that, because mentally some of us are still in Kemet. I don't mind Kemet Street and stuff like that, but man, if you still stuck in bondage, right? But are you healthy enough? Are you spiritually and physically and your soul, etc.? Are you healthy enough to even go into DNA memory? Are you healthy enough to even be able to see what your ancestors saw? For those of you who talk about the ancestors in that regard, right? Can you see what they see? I'm sorry, Leila, you said pastors that know but still teach white Jesus. I mean, that's part of it too. Yeah, for sure. Cash is it can be used as a tool or code to help us comprehend or to understand. Right. Sorry, I'm looking at multiple things at the same time. So you got to comprehend that, right? Here's another one. The environment is also what the natural, so nature, the natural world as a whole or in a particular geographical area, especially as affected by human activity. So there's a natural environment as well. And there's an environment for animals. There's an environment for human beings. There is an environment if you're in a dolphin pod. There's an environment if you're in a wolf pack. There's an environment if you're in Rome. There's an environment if you're in Kemet. There's an environment if you're in Israel. There's an environment if you believe in a canon, right? All of these things are environmental. This is what culture is. Culture is when we're taking traditions and stuff. Traditions are things that are basically just being done in an environment over and over again. That's all we're really talking about with traditions. Trading some things, traditions, which right, even trading some things one with another, right, and putting some traditional values. Ecology, right? Economy, ecology, ecosystem. We're dealing with nature, right? What is the culture? What is the environment? Are you an environment? Is your child going into an environment every day to where they have to learn more about how an animal changed into another animal than they do about the one who spoke the universe into existence? If so, you better be ready to deal with that environment and the consequences that come from that. I cannot tell you as somebody who does a lot of life coaching and marital coaching and stuff and deals with children as well. I cannot tell you how many times, right? Thank you, Tony. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, "Man, I can't believe my child did that. I didn't raise them like that. I didn't raise them to do that." Kofi, I promise you I didn't raise them to be that. And I don't think you meant to raise, or matter of fact, watch this. I don't think you did raise them like that. But if they went to school and the babysitter and after school activities and on the bus, and all you could do sometimes was just tuck them in, the system has it set up to where you're not teaching them, they're teaching them. Salah, right? It's just real. It's real. Like we're sitting up here trying to have conversation about this stuff, but the reality is that you're in a system, you're in a culture, you're in an environment, and you don't have leadership over the environment. Your children are going to somebody else's environment. Some of them are going to be strong enough. A lot of them going to be strong enough to say, no matter how long I'm in this environment, I'm fine. But if you're in an environment, like if your child is being raised in this environment, woe unto those that think that it's a great thing for your child to go to school and to learn on a regular basis that Woe unto you to learn on a regular basis that it's a bad thing to identify as a male. Even if you do, you got to be cisgender. Woe unto you. Like, you're in a bad position. Like, look, if it's okay for them to identify as whatever they want, why is it bad for your child to identify with whatever they want? But your child's going to a school and they're being taught that. There are laws in the books. America, Canada, England, Ireland, Australia. You better not tell your children some not all over the place, but in some places, in these territories, in these states, in these governments, some places, like, they tell you better not tell your child. Your child better not come to school talking about they're male or female. They're he or she. They better I say they. They're being raised. And who's raising them more, you or the system? I hear you. I hear you, Bree. But you know that ain't everybody trying to do that, right? And hey, babe, how you doing? My wife, the Honorable Mind's on. You can check her out once again on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. Right? And yeah, a lot of us are in unhealthy environments. You said your son asked if a boy can turn into a girl. Yep, they have to ask those questions because that's what people are talking about. They get mad at us when we say, oh yeah, we raise men. They get mad. Why would you get big? Why you big mad over the fact that I would say that I'm a male? It's the environment. What are you doing to seclude yourself from that environment? What are you doing to separate yourself from that environment? Do you have any environment to go to that separates you from it? Yeah, everybody can make up titles, but you can't use your title. You're in an environment to where people will argue that people are starting to argue, ladies, queens, women. I'm telling you, right? People are beginning to argue. People think that when we were saying this stuff was going to happen, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, people thought, like, do you not know that in the set, let's go to the 70s, the 60s, the 70s, even when people were out there, and yes, I know there were people who identified as trans or some version, some word called trans or whatever, right? But comprehend, it was really weird. Like, and it's weird today, but I'm saying it would have been very odd. A lot of people were hearing in the 60s and 70s that they're going to start having your boys wearing dresses and your girls being afraid to wear dresses and stuff. And people thought they were foolish, but kept putting them in the same system that people were warning them about. Right? It wasn't too long ago that, and I'm not trying to say that we should lock everybody up in these weird rooms and do shock therapy to their brains or anything like that, right? But hear what I'm saying. It used to be considered, just in the 70s, even in the 80s, it was still considered, I think even in the 90s, in a lot of places, it was still considered to be a mental health issue to be homosexual. Because especially if you were somebody trying to cut off a piece of yourself or add on a piece to yourself so that you could look like something that you are not and try to do something that you are not. Right now, though, hear what I'm telling you, queens. We are in a position to where they're trying to get rid of women in women's sports, and people think that's all. But people were trying to warn you about this in the 90s, right? They're trying to eliminate women from women's sports. There are men who are taking hormone treatments. Now, there are women who are considered to be too masculine because they have more testosterone than other women, and so they're not allowed to compete against other women. They're not allowed to compete in their own category. However, there are men who have gone through puberty and everything, can't compete against other men, start going through transition, and started saying they identify as women, and they are literally not just running faster, not just swimming faster, not just playing basketball better, not just lifting more weights. They are actually fighting and beating the brakes off of women. And there are not just men because of the environment. There are not just men or transgender women or whatever, queer, or whatever you want to call yourself. It's not just that that's having an issue with it, or saying that it's okay. It is now women. It is now some of you who are out here standing up for that cause, right? Saying that it is okay for you to no longer be in your own sport. So now what's going to happen? What are you going to have? Are you going to be able to compete? Right? Right. We just talked. Adele can't come out and say that she loves being a woman without transgender community coming out and saying, "How dare you say that you love being a woman?" And they say that men are women too. When do we? Right? Why is it that nobody can be? Right? Because you're in an environment. That's the environment. You can try to fight for it all day, but if you're going to stay in the environment, their environment is set up for cognitive dissonance. You said it was a crime a little while ago. You said you still don't understand why they can't make their own sports category and go against each other. Yeah, like that would be simple, right? But it's not, because it's not about that. It's about what? It's a kingdom. See, you got to be in a kingdom because they're in a kingdom too. See, kingdoms colonize. See, we're a kingdom and we don't colonize. If we comprehended that we're supposed to colonize and create an environment that's ours, we're supposed to gentrify. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to gentrify. They're supposed to come into womanhood and say, we gentrify, we taking over here, right? Well, you better find somewhere that you taking over. We're not taking over. And we're forced to accept it. You said they're beating women. Yeah, they're beating women in all their sports. That's what they're trying to do. And there are young girls out there, 16-year-old girls, 17-year-old girls I've seen and heard and listened to stuff and started reading articles because of videos I'm seeing. And you watching them cry their eyes out because they thought that they were going to be able to be awarded for being a woman. And now you take away the award for being a woman. Look, you got whole countries. Go down to South America. Go over to some places in Europe too, but it's not as bad over there. Go to some places in South America, right? Where they don't even know how to, some doctors don't even know how to do natural childbirth. They only know how to give birth through C-section. C-section is going to cause you to have a lack of, it's going to cause you to have a lack of connection with your mom. But they don't know it because of the environment. Yeah, they punish our children for hair and all those things. Yeah, right. There's a system. But if you don't have a sports system set up to where your child's hair, like watch this. If there's a sports system set up to where your child will have to cut off their locks in order to compete, then you need to have your own sports system set up to where we actually encourage your child to have locks. We won't prevent them, but let's encourage it. We want you to show up with locks. We want you to show up with shape. We want you to show up with a nose that some would consider to be too wide, excuse me. We want you to show up because your wide nose actually helps you to put in more oxygen, helps me to go faster, right? So we love that about your body, right? Yeah, you don't have to accept to change your environments. That's not our culture or our standard. Amen, Minister Tamara. Right? You're trying to do things and lead, but you're still connected to what? To a culture, to a system, to an environment that is terrible. You are not going to be able to lead correctly until you are an environment. So now let's look up a definition of leadership. We'll still stay in their system, right? Let's still stay in Oxford, right? That's supposed to be a standard. So let's look up a definition for leadership. You ready? But now that we comprehend environment is important. Now let's look at leadership. Leadership is the act of leading a group of people or an organization. That's what they say, right? But if my group lives, check this out. If my group, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and fast and repent and turn from their wicked ways and put themselves in a position, right, where they are in the right environment, then I will hear from heaven. If you would be in the environment, then he will hear from heaven. If you will be in the environment, you will already be led. Right? Once again, wives, you're not supposed to subman. Don't submit to a man. You are supposed to be in submission. Submit to a mission. If I am doing what I'm supposed to do and my mission is correct, then it means that those who are under the same mission will join in with me. Not join up under me. Thank you, Mika. Appreciate that. Thanks for the origami piece, right? They're not coming. Once again, people are not coming to you just because you got it all going on and they like you. People are coming to you initially because of the fruit. We were even talking about this today, and we've been speaking on it, off and on some of these lives for a while. Like, we've been trying to set up something for children for quite some time. That's my wife's heart. She used to do that when we were still meeting up at the physical location all the time, right? If you want your children to learn and grow and do something, let us know, right? We get only a couple people say something here or there, then we don't hear from anybody. If you guys really want, maybe we can set a date, set a Saturday or something like that. One of our, we already do one of our weekly meetings, that's designed just for environment for the people. Maybe during that third, or we can do another one of our Saturday meetings, weekly meetings. We can just have it for children. Or if you a big child like me, you just want to learn some things on a child's level. Sometimes the children's teachings be better than our teachings, you know. But this leadership, there's got to be an environment. There's got to be an environment, right? There's got to be an environment. This is what they also say about leadership. They say leadership is the state or position of being a leader, right? State is actually talking about your position. State is talking about being a country, right? That's actually what it is, a state of being, a country of being, right? An environment of being. Watch this. The leaders of an organization, country, right? Etc. So it's people who are what? People who are assemblers or people who what live the culture. That's why the president of the United States is always going to be in front of you in a suit and tie, because this is a Eurocentric culture in which they still wear those things. That's why they're going to always have cufflinks, because cufflinks is the culture. That's why they're always going to make sure that they say that you're never going to have a president. You're never, even if you get one. Well, I don't think you would. Well, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I find it very difficult that you will probably never find a president that's going to be a vegan. You know why? Because people who become president, they work for certain people. So you'll always have presidents that are going to make sure that they're going to. And I'm not a vegan myself, right? So I'm not down on vegans. I'm not saying. Matter of fact, I wish I ate a little more vegetables than what I do now, right? I think I have a pretty decent balance that's been popping up. But like there are a lot of people who are all over the place in this. But you'll never see like a vegan president, probably, at least not for a long time, because people who sell meat are a big important part of the country. You're never going to see a president that's going to outright declare that we should have no weapons at all, no guns. They'll just say gun control. Why? Right? Because you got a whole bunch of people who need their weapons. You're never going to see those things because whoever the leader is, so to speak, they're not really a leader over people. They're supposed to enact an environment. When the king colonized, when England, when Spain, when Portugal, when Russia, when Prussia, when Belgium, when whomever, right? When they took over somewhere else, right? When Scotland, whomever, when they took over another place, when they took over another territory, what you do is you establish what you call a governor there. Just like every state, every country in America, it has a governor, right? What is the governor's duty? The governor is supposed to do whatever the king does. He comes with a bunch of troops, with hundreds of troops, and he makes sure that he establishes a house that looks exactly like, something similar to what the king would live in. And then what you do is you ensure, as the governor, you ensure that you live a certain way. You drink, if you're doing the British thing, you're drinking tea, what, 3 times a day, something like that, 3-4 times a day. You're making sure that you're eating British foods. You're making sure that you are making sure certain people get opportunities. You're making sure that you have certain lords and stuff that ought to be allowed to get this land and that land, etc. Right? And it all funnels through you. But all you really are is an extension of the king. Whatever the king does is what you do, and what you do, you have the subjects do. And if the subjects will do it, then basically all they're doing is doing what you do, and ultimately what the king does. Right? You're not actually over the people. All you're doing is living a lifestyle, and you're trying to make sure that your environment is the only influence. Right? That's what you're trying to do, is ensure that your environment is the only influence. And I've been hanging on to this, Minister Tamara. I told you I was just waiting for a little bit to try and get through. So Second Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, real quick. If my people, right? That's what we just said. I'm going to read it exactly. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and At going towards what? Will forgive their sins. At and going towards what else? And will heal their land. Verse 15 right behind it, which we don't usually say anything about. It says, now, because of that, now mine eyes shall be open and my ears attent unto the prayer that is made in this place. So if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and then will I forgive their sin and will heal their land. If you get that principle, if that's your environment, he says, now when I look at you, now when mine eyes are open and mine ears attent unto now I can hear what? The prayer that is made in this place, in this environment. The environment is off. Okay, Shabbos, thank you. So any great leader lives what they say. That's all it is. Any great leader lives the environment that they want to happen. There's a whole bunch of people that I might not ever have been around, but they saw me, or spent too much time with. But then I see them, a little bit later, and they're wearing clothes that are similar to what I was wearing. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And you think about it, you like when I first met them, they weren't wearing that. Maybe something you did that influenced them. I didn't have to preach a sermon. I didn't have to tell them where I went shopping. I didn't have to tell them what country my people are from. I just lived who I was. You said you'd be happy to offer a few days on the family farm in North Carolina. We can camp and learn farming. Oh, okay, that'd be great. Sure, yeah. Yeah. Maybe we can add that on to some of the stuff we already doing in that part of the country. That'd be great. So, when we're sitting up and we're talking these things, when we're speaking these things, how you doing, Michelle? Thanks for being part of the community. So when we're speaking on these things, we're talking about these things, when we're operating in these things, where we're looking at these things, we have to recognize that it's about environment. We're trying to lead, but we have no environment. And Cash said, I think we might need to go through this crazy time to bring people back into reality of truth. Yeah. And it's an environment. There's an environment that you got to set up. And it's very difficult. Is very difficult, to do nowadays. But guess what? It's the environment first. We've got to get environment first. You got to have an environment. This is all the stuff we're doing virtually, all the stuff we're doing over the phone, all the stuff that we're, the prayer service that was today, the early rise of Bible study session, the classes that we try to give, the music that we try to produce and make sure it's there when we start a day, the lessons that we're constantly giving over and over and over again, when we're getting ready to go into Passover season and have these 7 last words that are going to help us to get through all these different things that happen, the ministerial training that people are going through, the dedication we have now to making sure that people are going to start coming together on a regular basis to start meeting one with another. Us going around and us actually giving credence to what the word says and just trusting that maybe people will open up their homes and things to us as we come through, if they're able to, all these different things. We're trying to get an environment together, right? We're trying to make sure that the seed is planted in the right environment, that the soil can come, and that the seed, we already know the seed is a tree, the tree is a seed. Now here comes process. Now here comes process. We got to process this stuff. We're trying to get this process in order. Right. Give ourselves a safe space to be able to have our own creed, our own destiny. When they sent you to school, they made sure that you had a safe space to do what? To pledge allegiance. How do you pledge allegiance to something for your culture and you don't have a safe space to do so? Right? This is your homeroom, so to speak. Remember when you went to high school? Those of you who went to high school and were in homeschool, you went to high school and you had a homeroom. Your homeroom was supposed to be, okay, we know this is our way of knowing that so and so showed up for school today. Right? Homeroom was supposed to be a place you went there. They made sure you said your Pledge of Allegiance. They made sure that you by that time you should have had breakfast, whether you got it from school or you got it before you got to class, right? Heck, you could even go to homeroom and you could sleep some. If you still were tired, you could put your head down on the desk and rest. It was a place to get you ready for the rest of the day, right? What is your homeroom? What's set up for you? What is your environment that's set up for you to lead? What is your homeroom? What is your place? What is your to use a comic book term, what is your fortress of solitude? Even Superman, as powerful as he was, he had to go somewhere where he was able to be by himself. A fortress where he could be by himself. You said school was never safe for the children in your neighborhood. I hear that too, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's safe, but where is your fortress of solitude? How you doing, Sister Betty? What is your place that you can go to that is yours and that you will protect no matter what, no matter who says what, who does what, who likes what? Where is a place that you can go where you're protected? Where is a place that you go where people say that I'll protect the woman in you. You be a woman. We protect that. I'll protect the man in you. You be a man. You have things that are feminine. We'll make sure we protect those things. You have things that are masculine. We'll make sure we protect those things. Right? Where is that for you? You can't lead without that. Right? Christ went up on the mountain. Sure. Right? Daniel went and prayed in the room by himself. Sure. Right? Sometimes Daniel prayed with other people. Daniel chapter 2. Sure. Right? Yeah, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Moses went up to a mountain, to a high place, went in front of the burning bush as well, right? That wasn't consumed. Adam, before he had Eve, he had to figure out his works by himself. Like, where is the place that you have? What is the environment? What is the culture that you have that allows you to be able to do that? You will not be able to lead until your environment is right. I'm telling you, you can keep trying to do this leadership thing. You keep trying to say, I'm going to help all the young boys. But what is the environment the young boys come into? And what is the environment that you can go into? Do you have an environment that allows you to recharge? Because if you can't, you're not going to be great in leadership without recharging. Right? I can only imagine what it is because I'm small time in comparison as far as numbers wise. I'm small potatoes when it comes to the people, but I can only imagine what it is to be TD Jakes and how many women have been trying to get to him over the years, over and over and over and over again. Just keeping it 100. I can only look. People don't want to talk about that. People just say, "Oh, so and so they cheated," you know. Paula White, she was doing this with the guy. I forget the Indian guy's name, but she was doing this with this guy. Blah blah. Ravi Zacharias, he was probably doing this, that, or whatever. Maybe, who knows if it was true or not, but possibly he was doing this and that or whatever. Oh, this person was doing this. Oh, Pastor John Gray, he was doing this. All these different people or whatever. I was like, I can only imagine what it is, but that's why you set up an environment. We have an environment set up to where my wife sees all and knows all, and if there's something she's confused about, she has every right to be able to come and question it, right? Like, we have an environment set up. Not because I distrust anyone, not because I think I'm all that, but there are people who are attracted to what you have in your gift. So what's the environment that you have? Like, you got to have that, right? And they don't even comprehend. They're not attracted to me. They're attracted to the kingdom. If you can give them the kingdom, they'll take the attraction off them real quick. But I can only imagine what it is. I can only imagine what it is to be Joel Osteen. And look, as far as white people standing, let's keep it 100. Joel Osteen is a handsome guy. I don't think he is, but people tell me all the time. A lot of black women tell me they think that he's handsome. Okay, he handsome. Whatever. I can only imagine what it is. How many times people try to get into him. He better have an environment. I don't know what he does or doesn't do. I just know this: if he wants his marriage to work out, or at least, if hopefully they're trying to have their marriage work correctly, you never know. But if they are, you better set an environment up. You said he's a little creepy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going on what people have told me, right? I think he's, for a guy, I mean, because usually for white guys, all you got to do is like look young and just basically have power. So, right. So I'm just saying, like, you got to have that. Shoot, the Most High. See, look, the Most High, he's the greatest leader of all leaders. And he says he's jealous. But ladies, you don't want no man that gets jealous. Don't make sense. Right? Your environment. If your environment is wrong, if you bringing people into the environment that don't belong there, right? There's going to be some stuff that's going to happen. Leadership comes from environment. What is your environment today? I don't know how much more we have to add, right? Thank you for being part of the community, Jordan, or Jordan. I don't know if I said it correctly. Jordan. Jordan. I'm not sure, but thank you for being on. Right? Like, it's your environment. Your environment is going to inform you. That's the reason why. Your environment, your culture, it's going to inform you about everything. So we have people trying to lead, but you got the blind leading the blind. If your environment is in darkness, if your environment is in confusion, if your environment is in shambles, then other people are going to come into that confusion and not be able to see. And if you fall into a ditch, then don't be surprised when other people fall into a ditch. You said you need a little jealousy, but not taken out on you. Yeah. Well, I hear that, right? But we're talking about Elohim's culture, right? So everything's always coming through the proper cultural perspective, right? Every once in a while, having a question like where you headed to, and then where you headed to. Oh, okay, I'm just going to hang up with the girl. Oh, okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with, hey, look, your girl over there, she been messing with like married men and stuff. And I know you ain't messing with married men, but if you hang around her, you probably gonna mess around with married men. Maybe you shouldn't hang around with her anymore. That's my girl. We've been together since blah blah and this and that. Yeah, I know, but she doesn't have the right mindset. And why would we want our children or anybody to be exposed to that type of spirit? You don't know what you're talking about, this and that or whatever. No, like if the word of Yah says if somebody's doing something that's wrong, you shouldn't be hanging out with that. You can still speak to them, you can still show them love, but they shouldn't be your friend. you know Environment. I'm sorry. Mo Desire said just Google Joel and yeah, little put up by the look in his eyes. All right. Well, maybe it's an old school thing. I just know the sisters used to say, white women, white sisters and black sisters used to say that he looked all right or looked pretty good or whatever. He was handsome. So I don't know if that was propaganda or I was hearing or what, but that's what everybody used to say. How you doing, Wildflower? Thanks for being part of the community. You said you've definitely shed a new light on the environment for you this rising. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Right. And thank you. Tadach. These are the things, right? Like environment is everything. Environment is everything. Environment is everything. Right? Perfection comes out of an environment. Leadership will come out of an environment. Self-leadership comes out of an environment. How do you lead self when there's no kingdom in you? See, watch this. Do you want to be led or not is a big, huge question. See, if I want to be led, I will do what the leader, so to speak, right? What Yahweh or what the pastor or what my spiritual father, my spiritual mother, what my pastors have said, etc. If I want to be led, if I'm in the position to be led, if I have an ear to hear, and I feel like I need something to help me as far as instruction, right? I'm of my own free will be led, right? Now, it doesn't mean that I have to be a doormat, but I will be led if I feel like being led. I will be obedient if it's in my heart to obey. I will hear what the Most High has to say if it's in my heart to do what the Most High says. I will do those things, right? Because I have the heart to be led. All right. So that, like I was saying before, Yahweh, he wants to order my paths, right? But he does not want to order me. It sounds weird, but let me say it like this. He wants to order my path, to lead my path, right? To have me go down the path of righteousness for his reputation, for his name's sake. But he wants me to do it of my own free will. If I have a heart to be led, I would just simply be led. No problem. We don't have to have too much discussion on it. If my heart says I need Yahweh, if my heart says I need his people, if my heart says I need Maya, if my heart says I need my children, then it's not going to be that difficult. See, you're trying to drag people across the finish line, right? You're trying to force the horse to water and make them drink, right? If the horse is thirsty, the horse will drink. If the deer, right, panteth for the water, right? If your soul is like the deer, then your soul will long for him, right? Like it's not that difficult. All I do is lead environment. If people like the environment, then they will listen to what I have to say because I'm not leading them, I'm leading the environment. Ultimately, they will start saying the environment and you are one and the same because the environment that you've been able to set up with the help of the Most High, it came from you and him anyways. So now when you speak, right, I have to be very careful because I know I'm not the Most High, right? So let's make sure the context is right. What I'm about to say, I am not Yahweh, I am not Yahshua, I am not Ravak Hakwadash, I am led, right? But I am a pastor, I am a shepherd. I'm not the great shepherd, but I'm a shepherd, right? So in a sense, right, if you are a sheep, and even if you have been adopted by me, let's say you weren't raised by me, you've been adopted. If you're around myself and you see love and you see honor and you see respect and you see commitment and you see that you'll always be fed correctly and you'll always have the water you need and things like that, you fall in love with the environment. See, the sheep is an animal, right? Animals aren't really like animals have affection towards people, but animals get affection towards people because they connect the person to what they need, right? So they start saying, okay, this person provides things that help me. They are a servant, a chabad, or a chabad, right? A chabad, sorry, a chabad. So they are a servant, right? They are a doorway. They help me to be able to get through certain things and get me into a greater room. And therefore, Yah can deal with me in the room, right? The same thing with sheep. So I, as a sheep, I know Yahweh's voice. I know Yahshva's voice. I know Ravak Hakodash and her voice. I know their voice when they speak because we have relationship and they've over and over again throughout my life helped me, changed me, molded me, scolded me, punished me. Right? I've got some outright whoopings from the Most High, right? And his whoopings are always crazy whoopings, right? I've been separated from some things that I didn't want to separate from, and it hurt. It was like a drug addict trying to come off of, trying to take a blocker. I'm going through some things, right? But the Most High, but everything that the Most High does is out of love, and so out of free will, I still have this relationship, and therefore I'm blessed through it, right? Well, it's the same thing, right? People who are coming into your environment, they will at first come into your environment because of the richness of it, because of the grass that they eat, because of because of the food, because of the things they thirst for will be quenched, because the healing that they need is there. And when they start doing that, after a while, they will start to equate the environment with you. They'll start to put the two, that one comes from the other, that you come from the environment and that the environment comes from you. And therefore they will respect you more, and they will start to outright listen to what you have to say. They'll listen to what your business plan is. They'll listen to what your family plan is. They'll listen to what it is that you do for children. They'll listen to what it is. Why? Because they'll start to see that, hey, I'm not anything without the environment. The environment's not anything without me. They'll support you now in ways that you didn't think that they would support you. They'll give you back the things that you give, even if it's what you need, right? Like the dog might show up now in the midst of the fire and be able to bark at the door while you're asleep, right? To be able to help you because you have helped the dog and blessed the dog so many different times. Right. So now, out of affection for you, even if the affection is, hey, I don't know if I can get, it's like some people might try to say, well, he equates you to the stuff that you get. Well, even if it's the case, they'll still help you because they're like, hey, if you die, then I might not be able to get, what you have from me, right? So even if it's just wolf pack behavior, it's still a blessing that they're giving regardless, right? So, but you have to do what? Set up an environment for that. Your problem is not that people don't want to follow you. Your problem is that you have no environment. Don't worry about if they follow you. Even Paul said, don't follow me, follow me as I follow Christ. In other words, if I'm in the environment, then be in the environment with me. Don't just follow me. I'm not looking for people to just be like, I'm gonna follow you. Because if you following me, all it takes is for me to do one thing you disagree with, and then it's over. And that's happened over and over and over again in my life. I'm gonna follow you, Kofi. I'm gonna follow you. Got some great stuff. I'm gonna follow. I don't really follow people, and I'll tell them in the first conversation we have, and I always tell them, please don't just follow me, right? Because I'm a human being, and I'm gonna do something you disagree with, or I'm gonna show humanity, or we're doing a lot of stuff, and I'm still doing a whole bunch of stuff by myself that I really can't handle. And so when I have times when things slow down and you don't get exactly what you want out of me, if you're only looking for me, then you're gonna have times where you're gonna disappear, and sometimes you just disappear completely. You shouldn't have followed me. You should have looked to see if something on the environment was of necessity, and if you did, then help to cultivate the environment, and you lead some places in the environment, because I can't lead it all by myself. I can't talk to everybody about everything. I can't be on every prayer line. I don't have enough minutes in a day to ensure that I'm talking and walking and speaking and preaching and loving on everybody. I don't have it. I don't have the ability to do that. I don't. I wish I did, but I'm not Yahweh. I'm not Elohim. I don't have that in me, right? So if you're looking towards me and me only, we're gonna have problems. Amen, Valissa. Right? Amen, Marion. So if you're looking towards me, look, you're gonna have some times when I mess up. Please don't just follow me, right? Follow me as I follow Christ. If I mess up, then don't follow that. If I'm behind on something, don't make that an excuse to, well, he's behind on this, so I can be behind on it. You're gonna mess yourself up following me. Thank you, Bounty. Right? However, when I'm in environment, follow me as I follow Christ. And I promise you, way more times than not, I'm going to be following Christ, right? Because I need to be, I'm not going to try to not have any accountability. Right. But you have to put this in perspective. We don't have the proper environment. Sorry, Jacob said men need respect and women need love. If a man loves his wife, she will respect him, vice versa. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, women need love. Men need men need help with the mission. When we say men need respect and women need security, really all we're saying is that men are looking to secure anything that helps them with their mission, especially if it's somebody who's going to secure me more than anybody else and be down for me no matter what. Because the only person I expect in life to be down for me no matter what is my wife. Period. I don't expect it from anybody else. It's cool if there's people that want to do that, but I don't expect it from anybody else. I don't expect it from my daddy. And he loved me. He loved his boy, right? But I don't expect it from anybody else. Right. So you got right, and but you got to be in the environment. My wife and I had to get in the better environment. And look, the environment, I told you, the environment came with less money, but it's a better environment for us. We flow more, we travel more, we do more, we go to more places, we have more businesses. We were both trying to figure out how to job out for people, and I was trying to figure out how to make sure that I could make as much money as she was making. We changed some things that we submitted one to another. We submitted to the mission. She submitted to the mission that I had. I submitted to her mission that she had. We love one another. We're both willing to die for one another. It changed the game. I know it's not a game, but hopefully I'll get the context, right? It changed the way we live. It changed the arguments. What arguments do you need when you both know that you're down for each other? It changed the ability to hear. Because if you don't have that many arguments, then you don't think every time you talk is going to be an argument. So when somebody says, hey, I got something to say that might need you to strengthen yourself, well, the environment's been set up now. We set up an environment. Well, okay, we ain't always arguing. So, okay, you must just want to come talk to me. Let's talk. Let's just have a quick talk, quick conversation. I can say sorry. I can tell you the things I need to be better in. You can tell me the things you need to be better in. Might finish talking, and at the end of the conversation, it turns out, you know what? Maybe I was wrong to even bring this to you. I think that I only need to bring it to you. It's a different environment. Yeah, fiat currency isn't everything anyways, but even outside of that, land is more important than fiat currency. We got a couple spots we can go to no matter what. Changes the game. Right? Just knowing, like when everything happened with the mask and everything, while everybody else was worried about, oh my goodness, I can't go here, I can't go to work, I can't do this, vaccine, this, that, blah, blah. You know what we did? All we did, when we found a place was getting annoying and some of that stuff, we just went somewhere else that we knew we could live. We already had a place we knew we could live. We just go there and we live there. We feel like it's time to go back, handle some stuff or whatever. We handle it or whatever. Things getting a little weird again. We just left and went somewhere else. Right? Like the environment, the fact that we could make a decision on the environment every day like that, it changed the game. The fact that if we need something or whatever, like those needs are already taken care of and provided. The fact that like we're working on growing stuff and working on to where we just could walk out. The seasons have changed. Walk outside, get your food. That changes things. Something that's wrong is an environment piece. Kimberly said I refused it at my job while everyone else rushed out to get it. Months later, they said it wasn't mandatory. Yeah, and all that was a rush to get you to do what? To pay some money on stuff. That's all it really was. Outside of some of the other things as far as control and everything, it's all about commerce. All the law is about commerce. It's about pay, right? But to change the environment, all it takes is a change of environment. And the places that we are, they're not all perfect. May I say that they're not all perfect? They're not all perfect situations. There's still some work that needs to go and stuff like that. But just knowing if if the rubber meets the road, I can go here and it's mine, right? And if I don't like what's happening in this location, I can go somewhere else, right? Not rich, not rich, right? But the fact that I have something and it's mine, the fact that I have something and it's ours, let me say that correctly, right? It's a blessing. And so now you start going to something like we're working on Y'all's Land Project 83, right? So the fact that by the end of this year, we'll be able to say, man, you know what? We can walk on this and it's ours. Even if it's not perfect yet, even if all its tents aren't put up, right? Even if that doesn't turn into the tiny homes or the shipping containers or, the whatever it's going to be, right? Even if everything's not together with the sewage plant or not sewage plant, but, sewage treatment and stuff right away. Even if everything's not together as far as the water and everything right away, if we got to dig for water or whatever, like whatever it is, just the fact that, if the rubber meets the road, if you needed to go somewhere for a little bit and get away, you could do so. That's a powerful statement. That's a faith statement, right? That's a manifestation right there. That causes a whole different thing. It's environment. It is your environment, right? It is your environment. Like something like that, right? The fact that if somebody were to come to you and they were to say, you need to go ahead and give us this, that, or whatever, and that this is my land, and therefore you would say, oh, no, actually, I need 3 forms of ID because this is a Lodia. It's mine. You need to hand me the police before you say you need to come on here. First of all, you don't have anything signed by anybody within the authority. Secondly, you need to show me 3 forms of ID, right? That's a powerful environment to live in, isn't it? There's a difference in that, right? It's a powerful demarcation to me, right? Just to know how law works. That's a mental environment. That's a spiritual environment. That's why Yahshua says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 20, that you should know the law greater than the scribes and the Pharisees. The scribes are the ones that write it. The Pharisees were the ones that not only were in charge of the spiritual aspect, but were in charge of government as a whole. And you don't know the law better than your senator does. Trying to be a leader. How do you do that? How do you lead your people if that's what you're trying to do? And you don't even know how the laws affect your environment? Salah. So leadership, those who have the gift of leadership, environment is going to be extremely important, right? Prayerfully, you've seen that. I don't know if I really have much more I can add on to it. If you're going to lead an environment or you're going to lead anything, you better lead that environment. You can't lead yourself if you can't lead an environment because you yourself can only be held accountable, right? For what, watch this. What does the word accountable mean? Basically, we just make it real simple. It means able to account for, able to write down, able to look at, able to put it in a spreadsheet, so to speak. you know so I have to be able to be in some kind of situation or position or place to where people can even account for what it is. But how can you be accountable for something you don't have? Salah. How can you be accountable for something you don't have? If you only got pennies, hold yourself accountable for pennies, right? You go into all these different things, the motivational seminars and all these things, and they're great and everything. But you're talking about, yeah, when I get my money together, when I get my millions, when I get this and that or whatever. Okay, you haven't been able to tithe when you get $10 a week. You haven't given a dollar yet. Not to me, if whatever organization you're part of, right? Because even corporations tithe, by the way. And you tithe anyways. If you drink beer and you give a lot of your money to that beer during the week or whatever, right? And you go out to the club and you give a lot of money to the club, if you drinking your little wine or whatever, your little moet, whatever, you getting all that or whatever, like you paying for that, whatever you doing, right? You getting your little chases and all that stuff, you do all that or whatever. And guess what? That company you give to, they tithe, they give to other people, they give 10% and they get it back. They have more of your environment than you do. They'll sit there and go, okay, I guess we're not gonna worry about all this stuff or whatever. We won't worry about all these different things or whatever, but we'll still make sure that we tithe. You don't tithe. Some people got the nerve to be like all Jewish people are evil, this, that, or whatever, right? And then talk about they rule the world. I don't know how they rule the world. Well, look, they at least tithe. And by the way, it's not just money. They tithe time, talent, effort, energy, prayer. They make sure their children know what they do. They wear their clothes everywhere that they go. You're not going to doubt if somebody's Jewish as far as their faith. Have no problem. Even if it's not biblical stuff they're wearing, they're gonna be faithful to it. What is your environment? They have an environment that they set up. What is your environment? Until your environment supersedes the law or the environment of the Pharisees and the scribes, then you can't talk about this. See, Yahshua himself said that he had to deal with this. He knew what we were going to be about. And those that are on the podcast, we won't be too much longer. However, we only got about 5 minutes before we're off on the podcast. If you want to join us on YouTube or on TikTok, feel free to come and join us. Right. But he knew what you were going to be on. He knew we were going to be on some stuff. So he told you that all the stuff you're talking about, you got to make sure that it supersedes the scribes and the Pharisees. He told you in Luke chapter 6, stop talking about the fact that you have love for people that got love for you. He was like, the people you talk bad about, they got love for people that got love for them. We did have somebody that was making clothes. I can try to reach out to her again, but I don't think she wants to make them like that. I do know somebody that makes clothes, but I don't know if she's got the facility to make it for all of us and take all the orders. But she was making clothes for me a while ago. I lost track of her. I lost contact with her. I can see if I can reach out to her again. But if we have people that sew, I know some people are talking about they want to learn how to sew. Hey, we can put stuff like that together. Get with Minister Meyer and stuff like that, and see what we can do to put that together. Most definitely. I do at least the little tassels, that you wear on the side. Those are pretty easy actually to make for yourself. But I mean, and if you wanted some, I mean, it's legit. I could. It probably costs more for the shipping because we ship it overnight. But I probably could do it for like $3-4 or something like that, depending on what type of material. If you want like yarn or if you want like other material that costs more, then I got to charge you for more material, and some of the material is harder to get the form correct. But it costs more, but it's not that difficult to make those at all. But there's a lot of different stuff, right? So, but yeah, but that being said, like, yeah, it's not that, it's your culture, your environment. You don't live in an environment that allows you to be about those things. You print t-shirts, okay. I'll see if so can you do, oh, okay, Jacob, so hey, how you doing? So well, maybe I can reach out to you. I don't know, one of us can reach out to the other. If you don't hear from me today, maybe you can reach out to me or something and DM me or something like that. I just followed you. But maybe we can talk, because we've been talking about getting some stuff done t-shirt wise for a while. We were supposed to try and give the business to somebody that was in the community, and it just kind of fell apart. And then on top of that, it ended up being more than what I thought it was supposed to be. Might have been a miscommunication. But these are the things that, like, we need to get done. And we need to make sure that we have these things in place. We need to have these things in place, and we need to be aware. of what's going on, and we don't have the environment, right? How are you gonna be held accountable for something you don't have, but what you do have, right? You keep saying, right? You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make you rule over many. He's holding you accountable over the few, and you ain't doing nothing with the few. He's saying, where's your environment now? Like, what are you doing now? Not just in your house when you close the door. Some of y'all only got an environment where when you close the door to your room, you get an hour or 2 hours of environment. Like, why does your house not look like your environment? Especially husbands. Why does the house not look like your environment? And raising my hand, there's some things that could be better in my home. Why does your home not look like your environment? Why does not everybody around you look like your environment? Or if they're going to be in your environment, why does everybody around you not have to listen to the rules of your environment? That's real talk. You only can be held accountable for what you have. It's like if somebody asks me all the time, well, if somebody doesn't know who Christ is, or somebody doesn't know who Yahshua is, if somebody doesn't know Yahweh, if this and that or whatever, is the Most High mad at them and this and that? You can only be held accountable for what you know, for what you have, right? But once you know what you have, what are you going to do with it? That's what we talked about with faith yesterday. Faith without works is dead. What is your process? So that's all that I have, though. Thank you so much. We appreciate you on all the different platforms today. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to take my leave, and I got some meetings coming up, and I still got to. So most of you, if not all of you, should today receive at least one, if not two things. You should receive the link for our Passover link, which we're going to use April 8th all the way through the 15th, and then again on the 22nd on Zoom. And then all of you should also, or if not all of you, if we have your email address, should be able to receive a questionnaire we're going to send out. And the questionnaire is going to have some different things as far as, and it's optional, but we're just asking for, name, number, email, just going over things because we're getting together. We got some people in admin now doing some great things, but we got name, number, email, uh, address, if like business model, or little short something on the business, things like that, and we're working on putting a spreadsheet together. So you should know that if you're in so you should be receiving something like that today. If you are, once again, in our Southeast region, please, ma'am, please, sir, come and spend some time with us on April 16th. If you want us to go spend some time spend some time with us on April 16th. If you want to spend some time with us on Passover, April 15th, you can do that as well. We can get you the address. We'll be in Greenville, South Carolina. If you like the exact address, we can make sure that you are able to receive that as soon as you let us know. Just contact us. If you're on the podcast, or if you're on YouTube, you can just look in the description box with the video or with the episode, and be able to get more information about how to get in contact with us. If you are on TikTok, all you have to do is just go to our main, this TikTok page. We do have a Kofi _44. We technically have a Kofi _42 and one. They canceled those, but you can go to Kofi _44 and actually, go ahead and sign up and follow. We don't put stuff out there on a whole lot, but at least we have that there set up. So if they try to mess up our lives here, we can be able to shift over to the other spot. But you can go to Kofi _43 and look up over there, and look us up. So on this page, if you're on live with us right now, and just look up where it says bio, you'll get a little more information about us. And then, of course, for a lot more, just simply go to where it says website. It actually has our what do you call that? Whatever link that is, that brings up a bunch of other places you can go. So if you click on the place where it says website, it'll bring up our website, prayer conference call line info. It'll tell you about different places if you would like to give anything to help us with what we're doing around the world. It'll give you information on classes. It'll give you information on stuff my wife has going on, all these great things that are going on. So we thank you, we honor you, we lift you up, and we look forward to being in front of you all again. Tonight will be our last evening live. And then for a while, the next 8 days after that, starting tomorrow evening, will be the 7 last words on Zoom only. And then we'll be going into Passover on Zoom only. And then Those will all be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time until the night of Passover. If you would like a Passover package, please let us know. The time is getting shorter, but we would love to make sure that we can send you something out if possible. And it's just, we won't be sending out any wine. So if you want to go get wine, if you're going to do juice, that's up for you to go get. But we will send you lamb. We will send you lamb, bitter herbs, um, and the matzah. All right. If you need it for more than one person, let us know that information as well. And just to let it be known, so the lamb is going to be showing up. It will be, as everything's going to be kept in a manner which it'll be cool and chilled. The lamb will not be cooked. It will not be fully cooked. So if you're going to get the lamb, all you got to do, depending on how you want it to turn out, you don't have to season the lamb at all. We don't even season the lamb. All we're going to do for the lamb is just literally, you're just going to put it in the oven and, let it cook. So, you could put it on something real low. You could put it on something high or whatever, however you want it to turn out. But we're literally just going to be, you're going to get something. The lamb will be there, and basically you can roast it. You can do whatever as long as you're not, as long as you're as long as you're not basically, um, you know, um, making it to where it's going to be cooked, like where it's still bloody. All right, that's the main thing. So just to let that be known before somebody goes, "Oh my goodness, I don't know," or "I don't know how to cook." If you're getting the lamb is not going to be cooked. Okay. Um, so the last day we can get the Passover. Well, really, technically, we should know that. You know, so normally what we would do with the Passover, or for Passover, your lamb technically should be chosen by April 11th or April 12th at the very latest, which means that's the latest we would want to send it out. However, because we've already chosen the lamb, so to speak, we've already gotten it and prayed over it, and my wife made the decision and got everything together. That's already been chosen for you, right? So you don't have to worry about that part. But yeah, like if you want it, basically, if you want it by April 15th, the latest we need to know that you want it, like the very, very latest, and we'll already be on the road. So I'm not even sure how this will work. But the very, very latest, we would even be able to think about sending it to you if you wanted it by April 15th, would be April 14th. And it would have to be April 14th, like basically by noon. So I'll just put that out there now. If we don't know, April 14th by noon, what you want as far as the lamb and things like that. And we're actually supposed to be we're going to be traveling that day because we're going to actually be trying to get in South Carolina that day. So if we don't know April 14th by noon at the latest, it's not going to get to you. And if you ask for it, because basically the way that we overnight it depends on where we are. So I'm not even sure where we're going to be in Greenville, how it works. If they have a place we can go to up till 8 p.m., usually 8 p.m. is the latest they can send something out. So if we were to get it to them by like 7:30, then we could possibly get it to you. But really, we're not even going to play with it like that. If we don't know by April 14th by noon, that is the longest. Oh, how you doing, Naturally, Nikki? Thanks for being on. Said it's been a while. Well, thanks for being back on. Appreciate you. So if we don't know by then, we're just making it known. If we don't know by then, we're not really going to be able to make a move on it just because of the timing. All right. We're going to try to overnight everything to you. So, and we're going to make sure everything, my wife even has it set up, with the package and everything, and with dry ice for the lamb and all this stuff. Like, she takes a lot of time. She's very meticulous with it to make sure that everything's going to pop up. That's one of the reasons why we don't give out the wine in the package either, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff she has to do that would make it extremely expensive just to make sure you get it and get it properly taken care of. Right. So, but just to let you know, it will be sent out. It can be sent out. The latest we can do is April the 14th by noon, right? And I'll double check with her because that's just me speaking as far as what I would think. She might say like that's too late. So, but that's what I would think is the very latest. Okay, but yeah, April 11th, April April 11th, April 12th, that would be, the usual cutoff. Like, you should already really have your lamb chosen as far as the lamb you're actually going to use for that day. So that would probably be the best way to look for it. And that gives you basically to the beginning of next week, right? Because Thursday is the 14th. So basically April 12th would be the Tuesday. So basically Tuesday would be the last day you should basically already have your lamb chosen where you're going to get it from, or if you bought it or whatever. So even if you're not getting it from us, just make sure you have it by then. That would be the normalcy. That would be what we would normally do. Alrighty. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Don't have really much more to add today. Once again, check out my wife, the Honorable Maya. You can follow her on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N. Look for those 2 emails if we have your information. We will try to make sure that we get that out to everybody today. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have. So thank you. We honor you. If you're coming with us April 15th or especially April 16th, the main day we're going to get together, let us know. We'll probably be sending out to everybody who's in that region. We'll probably be sending you guys out some, the address today as well. And if you would like to go, we'll send you the address as well. So we look forward to meeting you guys. We look forward to seeing you all again. We'll be on tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. Tomorrow, we won't be starting tomorrow. We'll be on every rising at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. But for the next 8 days, starting tomorrow, the next 8 days, we will not be on in the evening. All right. So please, ma'am, please, sir, check us out. Be with us. We'll probably do a little break. Well, no, not really. We'll stay on track with our gifts series. So we'll be in the gifts. I'm not sure what the gift will be. I'm personally leaning towards prophecy, but I thought I was going to teach on prophecy a while ago. But we're looking to prophecy. We're looking to prophetic. We're looking to what prophets actually did. We're looking to the actual fact that there was a such thing as a school for prophets, which is very interesting back in biblical times and things like that. But we'll talk about those things. So thank you so much. I honor the King and Queen and each and every one of you. We really, really do appreciate you so much. Please study and this message to make sure that you are not hearers of this word, you are doers as well. And we give all praise and honor to Yahweh for allowing us to even be in a position to where we can do this on a regular basis. Remember that this year is our year of where we are living in that which we have pursued, right? So we are living in that which we have pursued. So we look forward to continuing to go down that journey in that time and spending some time together. We honor you. We honor everybody who's taking time out again, and we appreciate you. And thank you so much. So as always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, fam. Shai Shalom. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got the wrong day. It'll be Shai Shalom later. Shalom. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thanks for the love. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hold on, watch the way my sin God. Hold on, watch the way sin God. Who that down didn't wash away, who that down didn't wash away my sin, Almighty God has washed away. Who that down didn't wash away, who that down didn't wash away my sin, Almighty God has washed away. Sin, Almighty